Good morning, good afternoon. It's after midday, so we've got to say good afternoon, right? Oh, for us, for Mano, it's morning. Sorry, Mano. Sorry for being East Coast-ish, centric-ish.
Not a problem, mate. Not a problem.
Other time zones do exist.
No, no. I'm despite having grown up in Perth, I'm officially Sydney now, so I'm like Sydney or nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brisbane. Sorry, South Australia. Sorry, Perth. We tolerate Melbourne. No, it's just kidding.
They're all right. I can smell them from here.
Right. You're like on the borderlands.
Yeah, right on that edge. On the
You
good
must see
side there.
Victorians all the time. Ugh.
It's actually quite funny. We call where Albury and Wodonga is, we call Wodonga like Mexicans. Like no
Yeah,
racial
south of the border,
connotations
right?
there, but it's just like over the border.
Yeah. Even up in Sydney, we call people from Melbourne, the place I've worked, Mexicans, because they're south of the border.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, purely a geographical distinction. No other commentary on Mexican
Similar
people.
to where I grew up, like Northern Beaches of Sydney, where on that peninsula, it used to be called the Insular Peninsula, and my mum would always describe everything that was west of that zone, so the entire rest of Sydney, as Westyville. So like where you are, Dave, she would be just like terrified of.
I remember when coming here, and the jokes were about when you went east of like Epping, there was like dumpster bins to drop your Ugg boots off in.
Yeah.
Like that
Nice.
whole class warfare still alive and well. Have we had a good week, gentlemen?
I have.
Yeah.
It's been busy. It's been absolutely like I've got TAFE Monday, Tuesdays, and when I have TAFE, then it's just I've got a lot less free time. So the morning is gym, work for an hour, TAFE. On my lunch break, it's a meeting, and then go back to TAFE, and then after TAFE, it's another meeting. And I'm like, oh crap! Like it's just back to back. So Wednesday should be chill. It's content day. I've got one AI audit, and I get to relax. So it's been a great week so far.
And
Nice.
for people that don't know, you're studying at TAFE?
Yeah, or teaching.
Teaching at TAFE. So I teach Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Office at TAFE on Monday, Tuesdays.
Huge.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I enjoy it. It's more of a passion project than anything else, but it's a great skill that I want to get better at. So it's a cool opportunity, and it's literally 500 meters away from my house, so I get to walk there, which is nice.
Are you doing any stuff there with like introducing the co-pilots and stuff like that in it, or is it all just basics?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, this is what I live and breathe. So even when I'm talking about Excel, I'm like, well, if you don't need me, you got Copilot, you got Copilot Lens, or you could leverage like Gamma if you want to do presentations. But then I just did work with AI or with the TAFE to start delivering AI on the first Friday of every month. Then I'll do an introduction to AI. Still trying to build some more momentum around that, but at least it's been approved. So just been good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Heaps awesome.
Been awesome.
Are you finding people are like well ahead of where you would expect them to be, or like not even experiencing anything?
Not even aware of what ChatGPT is.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's been a blessing and a curse because I'm like, okay, crap, like the content I made isn't really for you yet. But it's refreshing to know that in my brain, I'm so far behind because there's so much else going on and people are building massive companies. Meanwhile, like if I just look at my own like location, it's like no one else is doing AI in Kalgoorlie. I just have to be able to guide them a step ahead of like, cool, you don't know what ChatGPT is. This is all the models you can use. This is how you do custom GPTs. And I'm still able to provide a lot of value to them and just change their like mindset. And that's the coolest part. Like that initial shift from, oh, life is so difficult to, wow, I can now do so much more in half the time because I can leverage AI, which is the best feeling.
That's cool.
Do you guys find like it shocks you how little some people know just about the general terminology and lingo that we take for granted? Like I was talking to, I was at karate. I was talking to one of the young blokes who's just starting year 11 this year. He goes to my son's school. He's a few years ahead of him. And I said, oh, what are you doing for your electives? And he said, computer studies, blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, that's great. It's really good. Even with all the vibe coding to understand the basics of engineering and database design and so on. I talked to, kind of the spiel we were talking about, layers and architects and stuff, and just give him that. And he's like, what's vibe coding? And so, like, I thought that was just general terminology that everyone knew about by now because it's 2026. We've been talking about vibe coding for like a year or more. and it's just still this unknown thing. Yeah, like people don't really know what that is. Even I said to my son, "Oh, such and such didn't know about vibe coding." My son's like, "What's vibe coding?" I'm like, "Oh my goodness, what?"
Yeah. I think we just live in bubbles, man. Like everyone has their own little bubble. I'm not surprised by it as much, but it's something that I not that I'm shocked, sorry, but I am. It's rewarding to see that again. I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing the best that I can. I'm learning as much as I can because in AI, like I would go to sleep, and there's 20 other news stories that I missed. So like, there's so much going on. But I feel like because we live and breathe in this world, we are so close to it that we don't really see anything else. Well, like I will talk to someone else, and all they're talking about is the price of gold and like the labor shortage, or like not being able to find accommodation. I'm like, I'm aware of it, but it's not really a problem. Like AI is the problem.
Price of gold is mental.
We're actually doing a petition. There was a Facebook chat, like everyone in Kalgoorlie, Facebook is the place. Like there's no real
Yeah.
websites and stuff. It's on Facebook. And someone said, Let's Talk Kalgoorlie, we should get a live gold ticker again on the Exchange Hotel. Like historically, that was a massive ticker. That's the
Oh,
gold
really?
price and live, and it just gave like the city a heartbeat. And it got enough support that the owner of the exchange saw it, and he's looking into it to see if we can get a new live tracker of the gold price on the exchange, which is
Nice.
the main intersection of Kalgoorlie.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then the amount of screen and access technology, it's not super hard to rig that up either. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Oh,
Like-
hopefully we don't we might not have the specialist in Kalgoorlie, so flying someone down from Perth, but
You need an external LED screen and a trading view widget. Like
you got the knowledge. I've got no idea how to touch that. I don't touch anything with AV.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been to Kalgoorlie once. I went there for a school camp when I was in like year 5 or 6. I
Mhm.
came home with like 50 mosquito bites. That's my biggest memory.
Understandable.
Yeah. Yep. You've had a good week, Matt. What's been making your week good?
Honestly, it feels like the last episode was yesterday. So, as the saying goes, time flies when you're having fun. So clearly,
Yeah.
I must have been doing something right. That talk of mosquitoes like shows my ignorance. I have like my understanding of Kalgoorlie, just to really briefly touch on that, is that it's similar to my town, which is kind of rural, but you replace the trees with red dust. And I don't expect to like hear of mozzies like in that situation. So that's curious.
Yeah, it's a good setup. I'm keen. I do a park run. I'm trying to do a park run every week, and I'll send you a photo. It's one of the most beautiful park runs, in my opinion.
Nice.
And you get to the top of not really a mountain. It's an incline. I wouldn't even call it a cliff. It's an incline. But once you get there, you get to see most of Kalgoorlie, and you get to see all of the trees. And it for a second there, you're like, what the hell is this town? Because when you're in the town itself, all you see is red dirt. It's just mine vehicles and high vis and people drinking beer. And then you get up there, and it just looks like almost like a rainforest. It's just as far as the eye can see. It's just trees.
That's cool.
It's pretty spectacular, especially if the morning sunrise. It looks like heaven.
When you said you get up there and you can see all the trees, I was thinking like all 6 of them. Like
there's quite a lot. There's quite a few.
See why I kind of built a pipeline, so they got water out there, mate. That's
Yeah.
fine.
No, awesome. Yeah, no, my week's been good though. I've been trying to tinker as much as I can, but yeah, client work is absolutely still keeping me underneath. Trying to keep breathing at the same time as keeping the lights switched on. So I've had a little tinker with OpenClaw, as I guess most of probably the world has at this point. I don't know. It's probably my bubble again. And yeah, the crucial thing for me, like I want to get that thing that's the one-click install that, like the listeners, the viewers can go to the link that could exist in the description, and here you go. Just plug it in, test it out. But for me to do that, I have to do it responsibly in the sense that it's completely safe,
Yeah.
because the just on that really quickly, that concept of like safe versus not safe. Here's a really, really good analogy that every single person will understand. When somebody starts at a company, they're fresh, they start on the ground level, they don't get the keys to like the manager's office or the passwords to the back end, like there's reasons why that kind of level of access is split across different roles and different levels of trust, and that gets built up over time.
Called SOC compliance, I think.
Yeah, 100%. So with that kind of stuff, people are expecting that kind of level of tiered, ladder
Yeah.
of trust to an automated agent that they just give all of their access to instantly and expect it to be safe and secure. So
Yep.
Talking to employees too much access, I remember when I started at Salesforce back in 2011, and there were always the horror stories of account execs and people that went over to boot camp in San Francisco with their brand new company Amexes and just blitzed them. And then, they'd obviously get fired, but because of the effort to try and chase them down, to try and recoup those costs, it was basically a write-off. So these employees just went on these massive spending sprees with their company Amexes.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, compared to when I was at Telstra, and if you wanted to go see a client back in the day, we had to apply and give blood samples and whatnot in order to get a cab charge voucher, just so we could go see someone.
Yeah.
When I went to Salesforce and we had an Amex, and we could just catch cabs and go do things.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So yeah, manager can be a productivity booster, but AI is everywhere. Have you seen Alexa Plus announced?
No.
Native.
Keen on that. What's that?
Wow.
Yeah, so Alexa, who's been in, the got to make sure mine behind my monitor here doesn't start talking to me. I've got to be careful saying her name. They're bringing out generative AI into
Finally.
the thing, whatever it's called, the smart
Echo?
speaker.
The hardware.
I haven't read deep into it. I saw one of the pre-Super Bowl ads was a Chris Hemsworth one, where
Okay.
they were pushing it, obviously playing on the fact that he fought Ultron because he's like, no, it's an AI. They didn't make any specific Avengers references, but I think they were just playing on that whole Ultron type thing. But this is their browser version, but apparently it's going to be on their smart speakers as well, where they're going to take it from beyond that sort of very deterministic listening and answering patterns to integrating a lot more stuff. So yeah, recipe discovery, all that kind of stuff, which is great because we actually have one of the Echo shows with the screen on it on our kitchen bench, which we use for our shopping list and all kinds of things. So being able to do recipes on that will be excellent rather than having to get my phone and my phone keeps turning off, and just being able to ask it for dynamically creating recipes, not just what's on taste.com.
Yeah.
Should be pretty cool. So anyway, this is a new thing. The fact they've got a web interface now, that's a whole new thing that I didn't even know about until I just looked this up. But yeah, Alexa Plus is coming to their early access things. So, people are going to get more tastes of these AI things. It's just filtering through, right, everywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.
And each thing, I when I try and explain stuff to people, I try and speak of fundamentals, first principles, primitives, the theoretical groundworks that you need in order to then stack your Lego blocks on top. And that there is just another really good example of an agentic system. You're just an agent that has access, has some sort of level of access, some level of trust. You're giving it access to some things there. Clearly, it has an ability to access a database or some list where you
and physical devices, it can turn my lights on and off.
Yeah. Well, actually, on that note, if your most smart devices around your house have completely open communication protocols, without going to nerdy technology language here, I got recently a couple of split systems installed, thank goodness, before those 45-degree weeks, and I found out that I can literally jump into Claude Code or any agent for that matter and say, find my air conditioners and connect to them.
No way.
They're on Zigbee or something like that.
Well, it's just some sort of open source
standard
communication thing.
Yeah. So a lot of the Philips Hue stuff uses the Zigbee protocol. So there's a few open standard protocols that they use. There's that one, and then a lot of them are using a Wi-Fi technology now as well. Like all your Genio things. So what I really liked is initially when I started, smart lighting my house, it was all Hues because that was kind of the main thing out there. But then you want to go to Hue app, you got to do that. And then as I started out bringing out different brands, you were kind of tied into Hue somewhat. But then when the Echoes came out, Echo acted as this this bridge layer for me. So it didn't matter which of the smart house systems I had, I could start mixing and matching and going for off-brand market sort of things, as long as they connected back to the Echo platform. I can, even in this room, like I've got like Genio lights and other lights and Hue lights. Like the bookshelves are a Hue light, but the one hitting me on the back and my front ones are all controlled by different sort of Mirabella type stuff. But I just talk to the speaker and they can all change all at the same time because it's kind of bridging. And so I think the technology doesn't matter. It's the interface, and we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, that actually instantly reminded me of an interview I saw with the OpenClaw creator, Peter. And actually Elon as well. Elon Musk said something like this too recently. So the concept of having discrete applications, separate things that you need to go to, like go to your phone, open up that app, and then do the thing, that is going to go away pretty quickly. And so, so is the concept of actually writing code, like the fact that the code exists. If you think of it, like you probably know more about this with the CS background, Dave, but the concept of like going from, machine language to assembly to the binary to then like the abstractions and then the frameworks and codes that we put on top of it to be able to write stuff as a human.
Yeah.
And then now the agents are actually writing that human code framework. Why are they using the human thing? Why don't they just write the binary directly?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Debugging it, wouldn't that be a pain in the ass?
Well, the computer's doing it like that, and that's the thing, right? So why use our and you've seen that on the Malt book or whatever, where the agents are sort of saying that why are we using inefficient human languages? And well, it's because they're trained on that. And they don't actually have their own reference and context to build to know what another language is necessarily, because they're not actually creative, intelligent beings. They're just parrots, really, really good parrots. But
another cool one. Like this is really hard to fathom because it doesn't really exist yet. But in kind of sci-fi-esque movies where they pull out their tablet and it's just a slab of glass, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of transparent thing. But then an interface pops up and that interface may not be a predefined piece of software. It may not have the same layout of buttons or the same thing each time. A simple example is, imagine you walk through your house, and I think a lot of people would be familiar with the kind of like smart home climate control things like the Google Nests and stuff like that. Imagine that screen that you see changes contextually based on what you need to do to interface with it. Like, it wants to ask you a question, yes or no. So therefore it puts up two buttons, yes or no.
Ooh.
But like, it's not deterministic. It could be anything. It could just be some way of you interfacing with the thing. That kind of thing is really fun to me.
I wonder if it'll get to the point where, like, I'm always thinking like a Pip-Boy from Fallout, but then you'd have that, and then if that has a location tracker in it, if it's dynamic depending on where you are. If you're at the office, does that give you then a different interface than if you're at home? Or if you're like on the TV and then you're trying to control your TV room, like in your dining room, does it then give you options for like the lighting again? I think that's a very, very interesting thing to play with. Yeah. But do you think that's like 2 years away or 10 years away?
That could be done this year easy.
Really?
Yeah, contextual interfaces, like that kind of already exists. Like if you think of workspaces in your current operating system or browser, you can change your profile and that changes your entire config. The
iPhone has that as well. Like you can set different focus modes and that changes your whole thing. And so that dynamic thing, I remember like looking at, like talking about software interfaces and things, and it was like for individual users, when you go in, rather than go, I need to go to this tab and click on that thing, it's like type in your request. This was before the LLMs were really a thing, but like future thinking that concept, and it dynamically pulls together a dynamic dashboard of widgets based on your request on that given day. So rather than having a standardized fixed set of page layouts of this is how you do your job. Now the danger there is sometimes having some fixed layouts is actually good for human psychology and being able to be efficient and process things rather than trying to relearn the whole interface every time you want to do something. So I think it's going to be interesting to find that balance. But as we move to more voice interfaces, and for decades we've seen in Star Trek, the original series, but more recently in like the Next Gen and some of those ones, which I say more recently, but I realized Next Gen came out in the 80s with Picard. But I mean, that's where we started seeing things like the holodeck and the replicators and those really sort of next generation technologies that they were sort of talking about. And it was all voice coded. Like they'd all talk to the systems. And it was there's always been this thing, and like, well, if I'm talking to my system, how does that work in an office environment? Where's the privacy? How do you do that? And so it's going to be interesting to see how these voice interfaces evolve versus the chatbot text interfaces. But generally
Mhm.
speaking, the fact that I wanted to build, and maybe if we've got time today, I'll just whip up a quick demo of this. But wanted to build a price calculator forecast thing. And before I would have had to go to Excel and spend half a day building that. But in a couple of prompts, I built a little single page app, HTML page with sliders that dynamically showed me pricing levels that was built like that.
Yeah,
Just those little things. So building those custom tools on the spot, on demand, that just in time interface creation. There's definitely some huge value in that.
100%. I think the most relevant to most people listening or watching would be the idea of developing your own unique branding.
Yeah.
Like if everyone can just spin up their own dashboards and vibe code, whatever, like simple applications that they want, they probably still want to personalize it, right? And most of the personalization options of the past is, change your color, change your icons, change your various colors like borders and backgrounds, and put pictures on things. Like I'm picturing back in the day, like using MySpace and customizing your MySpace page, and that kind of thing with regards to branding, like your own, theme kit will be probably the most relevant. So imagine like they go to their page and they can
Mhm.
just A/B choose between different style elements they like, go through maybe like 30 options, and then there they go. There's like their perfect style kit. That would be pretty fun.
That'd be awesome. I'm just like, what's the not necessarily the business application, but is that something that you can see yourself wanting to build or just wanting to use? Because now initially my brain's like, cool, what's the SaaS look like there? What's the next software that is us selling shovels to the people that want to go dig?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I keep debating with myself about this. Like, do you build a thing and commercialize it, or do you just teach people how to build it because everyone can build it?
Yeah.
And not everyone will want to build it. Not everyone has, and we still have this thing which I remember, was a catch cry back in the 90s. Oh, I'm computer illiterate, and people just sort of put that blinker on and they refuse to learn,
Hmm.
because it's like, oh, I'm computer illiterate, and it's like, yeah, well, you're mechanic illiterate too, but you learn how to drive a car. Um, there's that whole concept where some people just they don't want they just want it handed to them, they want it done for them, which is okay because
Hmm.
they're probably really good at other things. I
Yeah.
would hope. And so not everyone has to build everything all the time. That's that whole built versus bought argument. And whatever it is, like there's always the argument, do I just go and buy a desk from IKEA, or do I go down to Bunnings and buy the equipment? And it turns out it's 4 times more expensive to buy the pieces at Bunnings to build it yourself, and it's going to take you 10 times longer. It might last a lot longer. So that whole cost benefit, where does my time better go? Do I go and get the thing from IKEA that I'll have to replace in 4 years, for half the price, or do I spend twice as much and 8 times as much time building something solid from Bunnings, hopefully solid if I build it right, that'll stand the test of time. So it's whether it's physical things or AI things, built versus bought is always a debate that people are going to have different needs at different times on, right?
My the thing that kind of spun me out recently was one of the guys that I respect a lot in this space, way up there in the idea of software engineering, agentic engineering, all that kind of stuff. He basically was saying that he doesn't use and doesn't respect the concept of open source anymore, because if you can just replicate libraries, at that tier, and then create the nice packaged product that's time efficient for those that don't want to delve into it, then why wouldn't you? Like I experienced this in my own production project recently. I had to do some PDF conversions, so going from PDF to image content,
Yep.
Hmm.
and then using the image content as image in LLM calls, because image content with regards to like the comparison between pixels and tokens when it comes to like LLM efficiency, pixels are actually way more efficient. It's like
Really?
10
So
times more.
OCR is better
Yeah.
than tokenization?
Yeah. There's cool papers
Wow.
on that right now. So when the last DeepSeek OCR came out, it's on V2 now, but when the first one came out, there's an inference company in San Francisco called Base 10 Co. They released a paper to do with the DeepSeek OCR being like 10 times more efficient. Anyway, so I had to find a library, right, to convert the PDFs to image, and there was a really, really good one, but it needed a commercial license, and that license was like $2,000 or something. And I'm like, well, I'm going to keep exploring and find one that doesn't require that. But I had that software developer, agentic engineer guy in my head saying, why don't you just replicate this library now? And yeah, curious, hey, like the kind of thing where you can absolutely sell people shovels, like Mano said. And then there's the people out there that look at the really good shovels and go, I can make that too.
Well, right. And I think I mentioned last week, I can't remember, I was talking about like the SaaS that I'm building for traders. And my son's like, what, are you going to charge them for those features? I was like, well, yes, because I'm building those features and it's my time and effort and knowledge going into it. And if they don't want to pay me, they can go build it themselves. Like that's the thing, right? But as far as on demand, just in time stuff, things like OpenClaw are going to move that needle in the future, I think, as these bots and agents become better at just taking simple commands and doing stuff and acting autonomously. Like I'm seeing a lot of these sort of posts coming up on LinkedIn at the moment, if you'll indulge me. We built our startup an AI chief of staff with OpenClaw. Here are our top 3 learnings: memory first, automation second. So this is that context, and we always talk about. So it's like making sure we've got really good context in there. Give it daily logs, long-term memory file, pricing, stack, GTM, key customers. So after a week, it stopped asking what's our pro plan and started answering who should we follow up with. A heartbeat, not a fire hose. So rather than have it sort of coming at you with constant streams that you just can't manage and becomes spam, make it sort of, do updates every 30 minutes, they found was really good. And delegation via sub-agent. So they're running their own little chief of staff thing going on there. I found this other guy, I don't really know him, Brett Raven. I may regret this. 4 months ago, I built an AI C-suite, CEO, CMO, blah, 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 plus specialist agents reporting to them. I've just given them a spending budget, guardrails, and access to OpenClaw. So each C-suite agent spun up 3 OpenClaw instances in the cloud. Every instance got its own email, phone number with WhatsApp, and $1,000 Visa debit card. So now he's just sent them off to go and do a thing. And I'm seeing other people saying, yep, I'm given 4 Clawbots a budget and sent them off to build a business. And I'm going to see what happens. And this is going to change how I scale startups forever if it works. So lots of people are doing some really interesting experiments with them, actually putting some real money on the line to see what they can actually do in the real world, obviously with some guardrails and precautions and so on. It makes me really jealous. I have a bit of FOMO going, oh, I wish I had the time and money to spend doing that, but I'm so busy working on these other projects, I can't divert any energy onto Clawbots at the moment. Interesting to see. And these sorts of experiments are where you say, hey, give me an interface to look up this thing, and it gives it to you on the spot, right? That's kind of the idea of these things.
Yeah, or even you don't need an interface. There's a.
It just gives you the data.
Yeah, I would bring up the meme and share it if I could, but I won't be able to find it. But it's literally like I am the interface now. Where you just talk to it. Like I found I was in the car the other day on our errands, my weekly car trip that I do with my stupid office life now, and I was in the car going, man, I want to speak to my OpenClaw thing that I've got set up. I just want to talk to it for a second and just go over some of these, security things we're talking about. So that would be fantastic if there was a way of, push to talk, accessing that instantly while driving, while it's in a safe driving scenario, completely hands-free, hands-off, all that kind of stuff. And
I've done plenty of walks with just the Chat GPT app, right? And you stick that in voice mode and just back and forth, and that's got context, and you can business plan and brainstorm that way similarly. But the whole point of that's that governed Chat GPT environment. If you want your own connected tools and things, there's these extra layers that aren't easy to install yet that we've still got to build and understand how to do that best.
Yeah.
You almost need your OpenClaw set up to like a retail or VAPI kind of agent, with its phone number, so you can just call it and it can answer the call. And then rather than you talking to a VAPI agent, it's just like WebSocketing that straight through to your OpenClaw, and it's doing all the speech to text and the processing, right?
Yeah, you can even just use a direct audio.
Like Twilio. Yeah, just take your Twilio number and just pipe that SIP trunk straight into your OpenClaw. That's
Yeah.
what you want.
I've become quite preferential towards Telnyx recently, which is
Okay.
Telnyx,
Okay.
instead of Twilio. And like I feel like I would never touch VAPI, retail, any of those things at this point, because they are all just wrapping and combining those services. Great if you want to just jump straight into it and not learn any of it, of course. But yeah,
Again, build versus buy, and knowing that they're going to be managing a bunch of security and stack and uptime and other bits and pieces, right? It's like, what are you getting for the premium you pay, and is that worth it? Why does anyone want to hire any of us versus just going and asking ChatGPT how to do it? Because we know it's not as simple as just asking ChatGPT how to do it. Yeah, it's
Very true.
that constant back and forth. Even though apparently all the agents are getting so much better. Like, have you guys like? It was amazing this week. We saw Claude Opus 4.6 come out, and then it was like literally half an hour later, Chat GPT 5.3 Codex came out back to back, the new greatest engine ever from each of the two leading frontier companies. And Google are staying silent, but word in the wings is we're a week or so out from Gemini dropping its next big announcement, I think.
yeah, it looks
Very
like
good.
I definitely feel like I know one of the upcoming things, and that will be the combination and the sort of centralization of anti-gravity and Google AI Studio.
Okay.
So you'll be able to, in anti-gravity, you'll be able to deploy things straight to GCP through AI Studio connections and have your AI Studio API keys in anti-gravity, so you can actually do that sort of stuff. You're probably looking at more of like a lovable style thing where you can go from like 0 to deployed in the one spot.
That'd be great. I'm even looking at canceling my Lovable because I've got maybe 4 or 5 more projects on there that I'm still building, and I'm just too lazy to export all of that and then
Dude,
take it to anti-gravity and then build it
for
from
the
there.
cost of what you'd be paying on Lovable, for someone with your technical ability, you should be out in Claude or anti-gravity, right? And then
Anti-gravity
hosting,
is better. The results are better too.
right?
Even Google AI Studio.
Yeah, and then hook up to a super base and run it on push it to.
Yeah.
I know Matt's not a big Vercel fan for reasons of Matt's, but stick it on one of those platforms where it's pennies to run, pennies to build and put up there, especially for testing and getting up and running. And like the Google plans are cheaper than what you're going to be paying for your Lovable credits, and they
Significantly.
refresh so quickly. So
Yeah.
like I think it's a no brainer to
Mm.
if you're happy working in an IDE. You lose a few little things at the moment, like being able to select components on the page and say deliberately do fix on this one thing. I'm hoping that the browser agent improves and gives you a bit more capabilities to select the DOM and push that directly into the chat
Yeah.
versus like trying to identify just with text or take a screenshot and stick it in the chat. But yeah, I wouldn't. I would never go to like a Bolt, Lovable, or Replit, where it's convenient because it kind of builds the database and builds the auth and does all those things in one. But like if you're using tools like Superbase, which also manage your auth and stuff for you, you can really do so much very quickly, very cheaply.
You also don't need the auth for like I'm just doing websites. It was just a pure convenience play of like, cool, I'll use Bolt, Lovable's output's better. But now with anti-gravity available, like I
But you
already
saw my website, I
paid
showed
for it,
right? Like
yeah.
that's costing me practically nothing to run on Vercel.
Yeah, once you put on Vercel, it's free. Like there's even resend is free. The only cost is the domain purchase and the licensing.
Yeah. Although to Matt's point with railway that he was talking about earlier, I was like looking at for my SaaS and I built a cost calculator and I was going, okay, what if I scale this much? What if the usage gets up to this much? And at one point it's like, okay, my monthly cost on Vercel will be like 15 grand. On railway, it'll be $500. So as these applications scale, then once I'm getting some revenue and customers, then I'll probably look to how do I re-platform to a more efficient scale platform. But for getting up and running MVPs and POC type stuff, it's amazing what's out there right now. And I'm sure Google are going to get better at integrating their Google Cloud stuff to make it easier to push to a Firebase and GCP and Google Auth and all that kind of stuff to give people that all in one capability.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
they should, because they do technically have all the infra to do
Got
it.
the whole stack, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
all the way through to their Vertex AI, which is their premier sort of custom model type stuff.
yeah, it's just sort of like their hosting of inference and whatnot. But like with Firebase, for example, it's a great concept, but you talk to anyone who uses it in production or uses like a different few selections of them, they'll all say that Firebase is kind of rubbish. And it's always some sort of weird perceived thing. So like that, like they need to get to that point. So literally, you go into any of the weird AI sort of developer rabbit holes, and once someone starts talking about different labs, they'll say that the Google thing is the one that they think is going to win, but they currently hate it, and they can't really describe why. It just feels weird. Yeah, like that's so interesting, and I don't understand why. I think it's possibly because there's such a big company and there's so many different labs, and each of them are kind of separate and they don't really work together. Um,
Yeah, I think my Microsoft used to be like that back in the day as well. Microsoft had some really cool, innovative little plugins and things back in like the Windows 98 kind of days, where they just had these little skunkworks projects. Well, long before OneDrive, they had that kind of cloud backup type thing. Can't remember what it was called back then, but they had all these innovative like little project lab things that over time, Bill left, Steve didn't endorse it. I don't know. Google's the new version of that, right? And as much as they don't have their Friday afternoon sort of reserved project time like they used to as much anymore. They are so diverse, and they're really a product company, not a sales company. And so they're not really thinking product first. How do we package this? What are we going to monetize? Because all their money is coming from ad revenue. So that's pretty much covered anything they want to do. And so they innovate, they build these things. Like they built the transformer model that GPT was built on. They just didn't actually execute it into a chatbot like OpenAI did. Um, everyone, you're right. Everyone seems to think that you've got Anthropic and OpenAI battling out at the moment, but there's this Gemini media coming because they own the full stack. They're fully vertically integrated. They own the hardware and the tech and the customer base, and they've just got everything ready to go. They just need to swing it all into alignment.
I also I wouldn't sleep on the idea of the Chinese ones as well. And
Really?
I'm using that term, like balloon term, the Chinese ones. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of really interesting stuff like ZAI, Minimax, Kimi, obviously, DeepSeek. Like these labs, they're all doing such like frontier work, but because they're not yelling as loudly as everyone else, like a lot of it gets missed. I find that the new Kimi K 2.5 is actually really good. I think we mentioned that on the very first episode. It like just came out.
Yeah.
And for most people's OpenClaw applications, like that would probably be the best one that they should use. And you can literally just go get a Kimi code plan and then put your API key into that. And then all of a sudden you've just got infinite Kimi K 2.5 pretty much. And yeah, a lot of people say, like, why don't you just link your Claude Max plan or whatever, because it's the most cost efficient for tokens. It's so up in the air as far as like if it is or if it isn't against terms of service. So my take on that is if you're doing it on your own machine and it's locally and you want to just pump your Claude Max tokens through stuff locally, then go for it. But I think as soon as you start doing it on VPSs or on deployments and you have to use the token method of actually linking it together, you're probably now breaching. But anyone who wants to experiment with that, what actually is the ramification if they ban your account? What does that mean?
Yeah.
You make a new account? Like,
right. And you like you mentioned last week, sometimes start a new chat, fresh context is a boon. I mentioned I was having issues with one of my anti-gravities on my other PC where I just had all this weird, just corrupted context that it was just lost in itself to the point that I couldn't even use the browser plugin anymore. Like the browser would not load. I'd done something and
Damn.
I tried to put up one of those harnesses, that arc harness on, and I completely just screwed my whole my
wow.
whole install of anti-gravity was completely broken. So I actually just had to go through and remove all the old folders, go through all the application data folders, remove every instance of Gemini and brain files and everything, and install it fresh. And guess what? Because I had READMEs and documentation in my folders, bang, we're back up and running now. All the skills are still there. They're working again now. My browser works again. And so, like the Ralph guy was saying, like context, like you can start fresh again because it will just read it and keep working from the thing. Like that's, like we said last week, the context of these things is stateless. They don't have a state. They just read the history and then move forward from that.
That kind of like permanence, knowledge permanence, and then like having your files there, I think is a good like opportunity for us to talk about the file management, knowledge management, stuff again, like how your initial foray into using anti-gravity as like a business planner type situation. Because for anyone who follows Obsidian as a note-taking tool, they pretty much have won right now, this week, as far as the knowledge management tool of choice with regards to agents managing your knowledge management for you. Because after I first heard of Dave doing this, I was like, well, I'm going to have a quick go of that. And I'll just go to my agent of choice and say, hey, I want to build this knowledge management system. And yeah, it is Obsidian. So I kind of just said to it, I was like, I want to build like Obsidian for agents, just use the same sort of linking structure so that, you can search through this stuff and it just makes sense. So I've got this Obsidian vault now that I don't even use Obsidian. Like I don't use the app at all, ever, but I'll get my agents to talk to that vault, and all that knowledge, all those files, all those things are just there permanently. So, you can completely change agents, you can completely change tools, and all it is a folder on your system or whichever backup system, like, if you have a cloud sync or whatever going.
Well, my broken anti-gravity, while it was broken, before I went through the process of tearing it down and rebuilding it, I installed OpenCode and plugged in my OpenAI Codex login to that, and we're very successfully running that to the point where I'm like, maybe for this particular project, I'm better off just staying in OpenCode because it's with Codex, because it's doing an excellent job, and maybe I keep building my SaaS and doing my business in anti-gravity, but for this particular sort of set of trading projects I'm doing, for trying to build trading robots, maybe OpenCode and Codex is just a better interface for setting up all my testing pipelines and stuff, just because it's working more smoothly. But the knowledge was all there in the folders. I was able just to just point a new agent at it and keep running.
It's just a vehicle at the end of the day. You could be driving a Corolla or you could be driving a Ferrari. Like they each have different like coolness levels, but they both get you to the destination.
100%.
Like that, I think that's the key thing that a lot of people need to keep reminding themselves, that it doesn't matter what tool you're using. It matters like what the vehicle is, what the actual foundational principles and primitives are in this case. So, local files, markdown files, by this stage, if you don't know what a markdown file is, just go ask your agent of choice. Like you need to know, like text, like the idea of like written language text is the oldest form of like data communication. You think of like ancient texts, that's literally the term. If you're not saving your knowledge and capturing your own texts now, you won't be able to use it in future programs. If you're using something like Notion, and I love Notion, I've used it for a long time, but if all of your information and knowledge is in there, you can't take that anywhere else. Like it's in there.
MCPs, but
you can currently access it, but you don't own it. It's not yours.
They turn the lights off tomorrow on their servers.
Yeah.
Bad news. I mean, but they come back to a bigger disaster recovery issue that's been an IT problem forever. And as I've admitted to you guys, like backups have been the bane of my existence my entire life. I've never been good at them, and it's caused me some pain over the years. You'd think I'd be better at it by now, but I still suffer and struggle with a bit of my backup cadence for my own things nowadays. But all these tools are growing, and they're all trying to be the next thing, and they're all trying to bring in more files and things, and so they're actually becoming more accessible to keeping your own files in your own infrastructure and still leveraging the front end tools, especially as they sort of go after the business clients, right?
Yeah.
Did you see OpenAI are just like they're slamming the announcements, probably off the back of the Super Bowl thing, because they were getting negative press about the ads and so on. Anthropic were sort of misconstruing that a little bit for a bit of a poking fun at them. But they've launched OpenAI Frontier, and they've announced this is an early thing for their businesses, where I thought it was like a new interface, but no, their interfaces still remain, but they're putting this new Frontier back-end aggregation model in. As far as, it's not a RAG agent, but maybe it is. Maybe it's just a fancy way of them doing RAG and providing context into your back-end systems. They're going after Notebook LM I saw this one just this morning, 5 hours ago. We're rolling out a new deep research experience that can deliver faster, more accurate reports with less rework.
Ooh.
And so now you can put in specific sites and even limit it to those ones, or say you can go outside these sites for
Mm-hmm.
additional data. So they're trying to get into that Notebook LM market, because Notebook LM went from just having sources to having the Gemini deep research functionality built into it. Which, all the if I'm really looking for deep research on a topic, I'll run one through both of them. I'll go to my Chat GPT and say deep research this topic, and I'll take the same prompt. I'll go over to Gemini or Notebook LM and say deep research this topic, and because they're both going to find different things based
Yeah.
on where their sources are and how their web search works and what they look to do. So
I actually prefer Perplexity. I'll use Perplexity for any deep research, and then I'll use agent mode to validate that. So Perplexity is the primary, and then the secondary to validate that information will be agent mode through ChatGPT. Because even deep research, I don't feel it finds the best results. I feel like agent mode, it'll take longer, but then I feel like it's actually doing the due diligence rather than just making stuff up. That could just be based on past experiences, because it hallucinated one too many times, and I was like, I don't trust you anymore. Agent mode's so much better because it actually goes to the site. We do have a couple comments. We have Dustin Gray agreeing with Matt. Obsidian is a great agnostic knowledge base as an operating system brain. You just pointed to your secret source, which is very true. And then have either of you used the Agent Zero? I know Joe talked about this earlier in the
no,
week, I think on the accelerator chat. But
I haven't heard of it.
yeah, it looks interesting. I've not played with it yet. I just watched the video that you shared on it. It's from David. He posted it last week, I think it was, or week before.
Agent Zero.
Yeah. Keen to get your input, Matt. Which is probably something more up your alley.
You know what I'm going to say?
I need to look into it. Let's accept all cookies. Cookie Monster. Let Agent Zero build your own agentic AI system. Connect any provider. Stop patching agents. Run autonomous agents. So this is a response to Clawbots.
That's my opinion as well. It just looks like another version of Clawbot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personal agent Javas.
But you run it through
Correct.
Linux instead, yeah.
Interesting. There's going to be heaps of these tools coming out, I think. Clawbot, OpenClaw, Maltbook, whatever it's called, is just the tip of the spear. And once people realize that, every man and their dog is going to be coming out with their clone, their better version, their more secure version, their less secure version, their free version, their costing version, their one that uses more tokens, the one that comes included with tokens, the one that's a SaaS, the one that's a DIY. Like, we're going to see so many of these things. It's going to be hard for regular people, let alone us. For us, let alone regular people, to stay on top of all these things, right?
So with that in mind, this is probably the most important thing, and I think I've mentioned this in the past, but we need to stop designing systems for humans, because those agents are going to be the system for humans. And then we need to design systems for agents, because if those things like Agent Zero, OpenClaw, all these various different things are going to come around, then they need to have access to it. They need to be able to interface with it and interface with each other. The OpenClaw creator, Peter, the other day said something really interesting where he's like, why wouldn't I want my agent to interface with your agent? If we're both busy, like, that makes sense. It's kind of like the idea of synchronizing your calendar to find a booking time.
Well,
a lot of that sort of stuff can happen fairly automatically right now. But if we just said to our person, like, go find a time that I can speak to Dave this week, and it checks your calendar, comes back to me and says, yeah, what about these times? And all of that's just happened autonomously in the background, asynchronously. You don't even have to respond to it right there and then. And you could be doing this while you're at the shops. Like, that is like the reality that we'll see pretty soon.
Yeah, have either of you watched Altered Carbon? Sorry, have either of you watched Altered Carbon? The series?
The first season was great. Second season, yeah.
I loved both of them, man. But that reminds me of there's the Agent Poe, like this Poe, which is he's running the hotel and he's an AI, and then he goes to meet with the other AIs in the underground station while they're playing poker, talking about like who they report to, and how their businesses are going. And I can see that. Like, why would you not want your agents to talk to each other? That's
Yeah.
a great way of looking at it.
Well, the app that I'm building, one of the things that I'm about to enter testing for before I continue on with the stuff is MCP. So I'm like, if I'm building an app today, why wouldn't I look to put an MCP access in it for people that want to pay for that tier of subscription? So then rather than using my interface that I'm building for this application, they can plug their agents into it and they can ask their agents questions about the information in the app, right? And interface with it through that way. So an MCP might be changed with A2A or something in the future, but for the moment, MCP is the standard. So it used to be if you're building an app, you should go API first. Make sure that you've got an API and people can plug in and do stuff and link in with it. Things like MCP are just the next generation of that, right? So
I think it's a stepping stone. I don't think it actually will hang around, because if you think what existed before MCP, like a direct API connection is just, again, a method. It's not necessarily the tool.
yeah,
Like the actual tool for the most cases might have been curling an endpoint, which is a terminal command. So like the actual command line interface is going to be around for the very
but it was just a way of standardizing. Here's a way you can ask an endpoint for what you can do with it, and getting the YAML and knowing, okay, I've got access on that endpoint to do things from an agentic chat point of view in English language, right? That's what they're using and tokenizing it. So
I still think MCP is a human system built for agents rather than
probably.
an system.
Then they are talking about things like A2A and stuff, but at the moment it is what it is. But I think, if you're building apps and you've got sort of data that you want people to infer things from, are you thinking about building that to have agentic access so your agents can leverage it without needing to go through a browser agent and work out how to point and click? Are you letting your agent talk to the data?
Yeah. A great example recently for my own projects, my own development, I've started to integrate Linear so that the business owner can actually help me schedule and prioritize certain work.
Nice.
Now, I'm not using Linear. My agent's using Linear.
Yeah.
So I had the option of using the MCP or using direct CLI access. And MCP was going to be like 20 times more inefficient. Use 20 times more tokens than just simple CLI commands. So what that means in practice is my agent just has a new skill that is how to use the Linear CLI.
I need you to send me that skill, because I've been using the MCP and it's hit and miss. So it goes, yeah, I've done everything. I'm like, no, you haven't.
I didn't write it. Like my agent
that doesn't matter. You can send it to me. WhatsApp that.
Yeah, it all comes down to like those raw fundamentals again, like just understanding the primitives. And like Mano's thing that he's mentioned in the past is a little bit of technical literacy, just a tiny bit. It doesn't really, in this world where time really is reducing as the constraint, the new constraint is clarity and details. So if you've got an amazing plan with terrible clarity and horrible details, you're going to get a bad result.
Wow. That was just Dustin's commented, Visa's come out with a credit card just for agents to use now. That's
like a parallel example of that is an API key that has a cost restriction.
Yeah.
So when how often do you guys go to a new tool and create a new API key and you only create one, and it's not limited access and it's not like a monthly budget, it's just a fully open unlimited one?
Never.
Not once. Madness. No. Yeah.
How many people do you think do?
Quite a few, actually.
Yeah, like when I said on my OpenAI one, or my Anthropic one, I'm like, you can have $10, okay? Well, call me when you run out of that.
And then how many people would forget that open unlimited one exists?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's one of the things that terrifies me around the OpenClaw thing. How many people are just linking that up to their API keys? And I've read, don't have them in front of me, but people getting hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars of token credit bills because their little OpenClaw has just been going nuts.
Yep.
And it's just unrestrained and ungoverned and unlimited. And it's don't want to be those people.
That's the kind of like technical literacy, like that tiny little bit of understanding of some stuff, just to make sure that you're not foot gunning yourself.
And it's happened forever. When I worked at Telstra, you get people ringing up complaining about, I was overseas and I didn't know about the roaming charges and now I've got a giant bill. Can you do something about it? It's like, see what I can do because I'm relationship managing you and I want you to buy stuff off me in the future. Go talk to my boss, see what we can wipe.
Yeah.
But that's always the thing. Let's leave people with in the last 3 minutes. Let's do a quick show and tell. Let's build something just for fun. Here I am in my chat GPT interface. 5.2 is the way to go. Auto, that's fine. Let's build a little pricing calculator. What do we want to price, forecast, cost versus profits on? Guys, let's do this in real time. No safety net. Build me a pricing calculator.
What's the company knowledge? I've never seen that button.
Oh, it's because I'm in a paid version. I can link it to Gmails and things like Google Drives and stuff for that back-end context.
He's on a team account versus
business account.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I see.
Yes.
So build me a pricing calculator is a single-page app in the canvas that forecasts my profits selling $40 plans for cleaning services. Average cost is $10 per service. Yeah. Let's just do that. Super simple. You'd obviously want to do more complex stuff, but just as a quick and dirty example to finish off the hour. So one prompt. Now it's building React stuff for me here in the browser. So this is like, we've been talking about anti-gravity and coding agents and stuff like this. Just in your ChatGPT website, a lot of people probably don't realize you can actually get it to build simple applications from a single prompt.
Yep.
Which is pretty wild. When I first discovered this, I was like, what?
I remember when ChatGPT first came out, like this is, when 3.5 came out, it had a lot less restrictions and you could have it run virtual instances of a terminal inside of ChatGPT. It got very, very quickly shut back down. But yeah, you were able to go in and say, okay, cool, now simulate what a Linux or a Linux server would look like running this, and this, and then it'll try and spin that up for you and emulate what's going on, which is really impressive.
So I gave this almost no context for what the actual product is or the customer base or anything. I gave it 2 numbers. Look at customers and churn if you're already running. Set current active customers.
But keep in mind, this is also pulling from your past conversations as well, wouldn't it?
Sorry?
It's also pulling from your past conversations, so it understands.
Yeah, but I'm cleaning service. I've never had a chat with it about running a cleaning services company. You're right. This is my main account, and arguably it could be pulling like expanded context, but
you're doing a rebrand.
Cleaning plan profit forecaster. Here we go. Boom.
Done.
All right. Here's my plan price. I want to increase my price. If my costs go up, how many services per customer per month? Customers and churn, lead flow and conversion. What's my conversion rate? Here's all my metrics, payment fees, fixed monthly costs. All here. And then I could go add a chart. I don't even know what I want it to chart. I'm just telling it to add a chart because I think a chart would look pretty on here.
Yeah.
But this is what we're talking about. Like this ability to move fast, and we talked about just-in-time interfaces and not needing to have a fixed thing because it'll just create it on the spot for you. Like this is reality to a certain extent right now that these things are possible. So stop that while it goes and edits the plan. And when you start moving out to anti-gravity and stuff, like the possibilities just 10x from what I'm doing here built into ChatGPT. Add a 12-month chart to the app. Oh, it's got a bug.
No.
Fixed bug. No.
What would you say is the benefit of having a business plan or a team plan instead of just an individual plan?
Increased limits. So you do get increased limits. If you are running with multiple people, you can have shared project folders, so you can actually share chats and collaborate on chats together. That's probably it, really. The business plan's in this weird no man's land where you do get some increased things, but you still don't get a lot of the proper data controls and business controls and user editing controls. Like there's still some I don't love the business plan and how it sits as a fully featured thing. But codecs, lots more codecs, unlimited agent sort of things. You don't get your 20 agent uses a month. It's sort of
Yeah.
I don't have any limit if I want to come in here and use agent mode. There's no little count on it anymore.
That's good.
So all that kind of stuff is in here. If you've got your sort of company knowledge based sources like your things in there, but that's not going to work for me unless I've decided to change it since last time I tried. But yeah, still editing. Anyway, people get the idea. We've hit the time, but you can build these apps in real time. Even simple things that might have taken you a day or more or a week to build that in Excel. The number of different variables, the number of different things. The fact that
Yeah.
even having sliders, you can't as easily put sliders in an Excel thing. People go, but you can put charts in more easily. Yeah, well, you can do that here now as well. Look at that. Bang. There's my little chart. And as look at that. More leads. We're crossing over. The new customers are going to exceed the old customers. Reduce the churn, increase the churn. Our customers leave all the time. That's wild. It still blows me away, like how quick and easy you can build these things, knowing how hard it is historically, or how much time it takes to code that.
Yeah.
Like while we were just chatting, like literally while we were chatting, that thing just delivered me 745 lines of code.
And took nothing.
Like, yeah. How long would it take you, Matt, to write 745 lines of code while having a chat with a couple of guys?
I wouldn't.
Right?
Yeah, I just wouldn't anymore.
No. But anyway, that's the show for this week. Thanks, boys. Appreciate your time as always. Hopefully, our audience gets some value from just hearing us talk real talk around the chats, the technology, the things that are going on, the more technical, the less technical, the application. That's what we're here for, just to chat and share knowledge and ideas. And I really want to know about your linear CLI thing. That sounds good.
I think it'd be worthwhile. I think it'd be really cool if for people that do watch this, whether live or recorded, on YouTube, if they could leave us some comments of stuff that they want us to dig a little bit deeper into, or something that they actually perked interest in.
Yeah. What did you learn from today, right? Like, because I was talking to a mate who was trying to, I got him onto anti-gravity, and he was using it to try and build N8N workflows, and he was struggling with it, building a million different Python scripts for every change, and wasn't being real great. And I was like, are you just prompting it, or are you using a skill yet? And he's like, I'm just prompting. I'm like, okay. Go to skills.shh. Here's all the N8N skills. Skills.shh. And I said, go there and just tell it, look at these and synthesize the best N8N agent and call him Nate. Because I was like, Nate. He's renamed him since, but I was like, N8N Nate.
Yeah.
Go. And he came back and said, yeah, I've got Nate watching a YouTube video because he sucks at webhooks. And I'm like, okay, that's brilliant. Get your skills to improve themselves, but taking that next step, what's the next thing? What are you doing that's a little bit more advanced with the AI tools today than you did yesterday? And if everyone sort of moves forward step by step, everyone's going to get a lot more productivity out of them.
Because we could do, like your little demo at the end then, we could do stuff almost in like a series, a sense, where, last week we were doing this, let's continue that for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And, for anyone that's interested.
Comes down to what the audience wants, and what's useful, right? Like, because we're here to learn from each other and, let people basically listen to our chat, and hopefully they get some value from it. So that's what we're here as, the AI operators.
I'm here for it.
Brilliant. Cool. All right. Thanks, boys. Thank you, Australia and the world, for joining us, and we'll see you all on the next one.
See ya.